Hey everybody, Drazule here, and welcome to my currently unnamed podcast where we're talking about Total War Warhammer today. So with me I have OfficiallyDevin,
Hello there.
and I have the Wise Coffin,
Hello, everyone.
and we all play Total War games, and we're all pretty invested in the current upcoming release of Total War Warhammer, so let's go ahead
Well,
and
not
start
very
talking about it.
much. Really.
Except that guy.
Okay, well somebody here is a cynic, but frankly I've been looking at reviews, and reviews say it's pretty good. I mean, not
No,
great.
not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not that at all. It's because I'm not able to buy it.
Yeah, that typically puts a damper in your plans. I've contacted a lot of people sometimes. I'm like, hey, can I get a review code? No response. Uh, what, you don't want a 600 subscriber guy, promoting your stuff? I'm totally a huge help.
You need to be a very big YouTuber.
Yeah, I know.
They wouldn't give me
Unfortunately.
one. Sad face.
Or at least know people. All right.
I think it is literally like that. It's very informal the way they do it at CA. Like if you just send them a tweet or something, like if you personally know the person who works there and sorts it out, they'll just be like, yep, just email you the codes. It's easy enough. But yeah.
I'm actually trying to become the guy who does that at Firaxis.
Mm-hmm.
But enough about me. So let's just get right off to the bat here that I guess we'll start talking about the factions and Aragon here. So we actually know. I'm pretty sure we have to know pretty much about every faction now and the unit rosters, and I don't know how much you guys have really looked into them or not. But I guess starting off is what do you guys want to play? What kind of factions really stick out to you guys that when you get the game you think you'll play first or something like that?
I've been thinking about that quite a lot actually, because I was thinking, well, if I'm going to play this game, who should I actually play as? And my sort of thought process was I started thinking, well, a lot of people have said the dwarves are really cool. Like a lot of the talk around town is that they were interesting. But then when I looked at them, I thought, they don't seem very interesting. They have like a really limited set of unit types and they just live underground. Like, what's up with the dwarves? Then there's the human faction, the Empire. And that seems interesting, get a bit more variety. But the only problem with that I have is that it's sort of just a faction from an existing Total War game.
Yeah, it's just
So
like,
that if
why
I'm going
would
to
you
play a fantasy game, I want
humans?
a more fantasy-ish thing to happen. And I thought, well, the orcs are pretty one-dimensional in that they don't really have any culture or anything. They're just killing stuff. And I ended up settling on, you know what? It's going to have to be vampires. So officially,
Well,
vampires
everyone
have now become my favorite faction.
Everyone in Warhammer is pretty one-dimensional, so
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind
Yeah,
of the
they all
problem.
pretty much
Orcs
fill
are
an
especially
archetype.
like that.
that's one of the main things that I hate on these kind of worlds like Lord of the Rings and Warhammer is that every race thinks all the same. Like every orc is evil, every human is like not good, but kind of
Yeah, it's done in very
trickster.
simplistic terms. It's like the elves hate the dwarves. Like that's it. It's not a sort of they hated them during this time period because this school of thought was in power and now a different
Yeah.
school of thought's taken over. It's very easy to understand, which I guess is what they're trying to go for, but it does mean that
Back
if you're sort
in
of
the
interested
80s.
in the lore, you
Back
can't
in
go
the
very
80s.
deep with it.
They were definitely like, let's just make our own kind of like badass Lord of the Rings with people that fight a whole bunch. And
But I
That's
love
basically it.
Lord of the Rings. I love.
Lord of the Rings is
It'll-
great. I love it too. But Games Workshop in the 80s was a very, very different company. And I feel like they've just been unwilling to kind of get out of that route when it comes to fantasy, at least. Well, except for the fact that they completely retconned it. But so you can play
Not bitter
vampires.
about that or something.
So you're gonna be playing vampires first, you think?
Yeah, probably. Just out of
Yeah.
like it's the least not interesting one because I don't really know, not a Warhammer fan or anything like that. So the theme, like I'm not going in like, oh, I can't wait to see what they did with X faction
That makes sense.
because I only have a sort of passing knowledge of all of them.
But
So,
I thought
yeah.
that like Warhammer is just like a national sport in England.
Is it? Well, they didn't really tell me about it.
You're disappointing
it's
my
sort of
my
common.
prejudices and
There are like businesses in the street, or there used to be businesses in the street where you could go and play Warhammer games in like little tournament things. But I don't know, that's probably 10, 20 years ago. They now don't exist because it turns out that video games exist and video games are quite a lot more dynamic than tabletop games. And they did basically just took over.
we actually still have those around here.
Oh, you got video games.
Yes, we have video games here. Yeah.
That's interesting.
But,
Crazy Yanks.
Yeah.
What is a video game?
I know that we have at least two of the stores that I used to go to actually have closed down, so I guess video games finally caught up here in America. We're
They
finally
hunted them
catching up with the
down.
times.
Yeah,
a
Total
shame
War
that
Warhammer is
we're-
like an example of that because it's coming and saying, "Here's a tabletop game that does still exist. Bang! Here's the video game version. Just play that. It's better. See ya."
That's exactly why I'm happy for this game,
themselves in the
because
foot.
it's pretty much just going to be Warhammer, except I don't need to spend $800 to get like half an army that I have to build and paint myself. But funny thing is, see, I'm approaching this exactly the opposite. That I can't wait for dwarfs
Yeah.
because I had a dwarf army. Even though I know for a fact that the dwarfs are probably the most generic Total War army yet in the game.
Yeah, it seems that
That
way.
since they don't have magic or anything, and they have like one flying unit, they're mostly just like crossbows and guns.
Yeah, it's bows,
and
heavy
heavy
infantry, rifles, no fast units. You just stand in three lines and then walk away. And when you come back, you might have won the battle.
Yeah, so they're definitely the most bog standard Total War army, which is kind of okay though, because I only play Medieval 2. Like I played the tutorial for Attila and got bored. So
Fair enough.
You never played Attila?
not really.
It's quite good, actually.
Yeah, no, it was a combination of I got busy and I had other things going on, and people really like Hyrule Total War, and if
That's so
if I
awesome.
stop playing it, I get a lot of backlash, and I'm just like, well, I guess all that time I wanted to play Attila, I gotta play Hyrule Total War.
That's really a good mod.
Somebody on Reddit actually found me, and he's like, hey, when's Hyrule Total War coming out? I'm like, how did you find me? I'm not Drazule on Reddit.
Good sleuthing.
And
But,
I
yeah.
never actually played any Zelda game, and I really like that mod.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. But,
Yeah,
what about you, Coffin?
If I had to get the game, first I think I would get the game only when all of those DLCs and whatever are released, all in a bundle, because I think that's the better way that I would be able to buy the game, because every DLC, every expansion will take too much to buy at like the right like on the time that they release it, so I would probably wait. But if I were to wait and play, I think I would love to make a narrative with the Empire.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to make a narrative. Devin, did you invent narrative Let's Plays? Was that you?
I don't know. I probably invented the term,
All right.
but it
that's
definitely
fair.
had existed even in Total War before me.
I remember you getting some sort of award on the Total War Center for like, oh, he did awesome stuff on videos or something. But
No. Well, they didn't send that award to me.
what was I gonna say? It'd be interesting because there is a narrative in the game. You know, there are quest battles. So it'd be interesting to kind of weave.
Yeah,
those
that is
into
the
your own
thing that's
storytelling.
actually bugs me off in Warhammer, because Total War, most of the times you choose whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like it's a sandbox game, and in here you are forced to follow a story, and I really think that cuts the replayability of the game.
I have to agree. That I mean, there's a fair amount that there's 5 factions at release, at least 2 lords per faction. So that's, I guess, 10 different times you can play before you have to replay the same one. And I guess that's
I'm
also
guessing some of those
ignoring-
times going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
Like playing 2 lords in the same faction is the same as playing 2 families in like Rome 2, where you can pick the different families. Like the game is the same. There's sort of a minor difference. It's a tiny bit more different because you get a different unit to represent the hero.
I actually think you get both lords. I think it's just
Oh, do you?
simply
Okay,
you
never
only
mind.
upgrade one, like on the quest paths. I guess they're also adding Bretonia for free.
Yeah.
So that's another, at least one lore that's different.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
that'd be
but I
nice.
totally agree though, that, maybe I just kind of wanna fight the dwarfs as the humans, and I should be able to do that if I want. So it is kind of limiting. I have to agree that I don't
Yeah,
love that.
it's a step in the direction of it not being a sandbox. I think the quest stuff's kind of optional, but it just sits there.
Yeah,
so like this
because
hostile army
I-
spawns and waits for you to attack it if you
Yeah,
ever
but
do.
Then you think, they made the game. They obviously put budget into making these quests. They obviously made the
Yeah.
game to have you follow the quests. That's kind of
Yeah.
how they expect you to play it.
You're supposed to, because it gives you some of the abilities and equipment.
Yeah.
Like to unlock late game stuff, you actually have to do it. So you obviously intended to do it, although they market it as being optional. It's sort of optional in a, but that's a worse way of playing the game sort of
heavily
way. So you better
suggested.
like it.
Yeah.
Which I guess it's a shame, but then again, it might be really interesting to those quests. I haven't really looked too much into them. Maybe there'll be sort of a driving thing. Yeah, I am going to try and like make a fun army build that will excel in this scripted battle, which is going to be different from the usual AI field battle. You know, pretty much what's going to happen affair.
And once again, coming from my largely just medieval 2 experience, a lot of times battles get monotonous. Like, oh, here's another battle with the same army composition of these, 5 of this unit, 3 of this unit, 2 artillery. Like, so having different kinds of battles and kind of the RNG elements of Magic will be kind of fun. To kind of mix things up. But yeah, but I know for a fact at launch there is going to be a mod that lets you conquer any region.
Yeah, that's right.
As opposed to in the base game where you can only conquer like regions you're allotted to. So I can guarantee there's going to be like a mod that disables like the quest missions probably, and then,
just lets you get the equipment or something.
So you
as a
could
level
definitely
up.
probably make your own narrative campaigns with a bunch of mods.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
of course.
That would be very nice.
And for what you were saying on the monotony sometimes in the games, I really think that's sometimes about when someone does not follow the game. Like, I like to role play, for example, and I really try to make a story on every general, and normally when you see Let's Plays on person, the people that are doing the videos like Lionheart and Legend, they never say the names of the generals. They're just like, this guy is gonna hear, this other one, and then they're like very disconnected on the game. They're just trying to win.
Don't care.
It's because it doesn't matter. That's how the game is designed. You don't have to care about anything, which is
but that's
for
why
me
the
a criticism of it.
Yeah, but that's why the game, like in the middle campaign, gets so monotonous, because you don't know the names, you don't know the stories of them, and that's why I really get passionate on the campaigns, because I think on myself a story for that guy, and he does this because he wants to do something. Maybe in a campaign-like setting, it doesn't make sense for the character to do that, like, oh, I'm going to lose troops, but that guy, like, he wants to do that, or he doesn't want to, and so he might screw his campaign because of it. But I like to do that. I don't. I'm not very cold, like Legend is sometimes on his playthroughs.
Yeah,
it's
when you play hundreds of hours of a game before it comes out, and I'm sure these things very much become a job to you.
Yeah. Certainly for Legend it is. Yeah, I think it's a case where, like Coffin, you're not the target market.
No.
CA, you're not. They don't want it to be like that at all. They want it to go in the opposite direction. So they want it to be they're going towards a more casual experience. So everything is replaceable. The losses they're just numbers, and you get them back, and they're not being deducted from anything. You just sort of get
is streamlined.
But one thing to your advantage, though, is that you're allowed to name your generals that aren't like the legendary lords.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get equipment and they can level up and stuff. So if there ever was a game that allowed you to kind of set up a character whom you like and have a certain specific playstyle and like arc to, it would be this game.
I think naming goes a long way, because like in the original XCOM, when you didn't really have many customization options, but giving them a name was like a massive step towards you caring about these replaceable individuals. So hopefully it'll have the same effect here.
The majority of people will probably care of those names because they're gonna put silly names.
Well, but it's just
if you like silly names, though, then power to you. If General Fluffy McBun Buns, like Admiraling the Boaty McBoatface, then maybe if that's how you get invested in the game, then all the power to you.
That's the way to do it. Although I think they actually made it so you can't rename the settlements anymore, which they sort of added that into Attila. And they're sort of taking that out, but then giving you the naming of generals. So maybe one day in the future, they'll combine those ideas and let you name the settlements and the generals. And you can really customize it.
The code for it's in the file somewhere, and all they need is just a mod to check it.
Oh yeah, it'll still be there. Because Total War Warhammer is essentially a very, very polished mod of Attila.
Yeah.
It's the same game. You can sort of see the user interface is virtually identical with just a reskin. So I'm sure a lot of the Attila features could be whipped out if there are any that are missing, such as that one. Clever modders might find it.
I guess it makes sense to a degree, though, because Warhammer is a very specific world, and I guess the world is a more specific world. But like if Games Workshop's like, oh, like this is something Dwarf or whatever that city is, like Altdorf, like this is Altdorf, like it's they would never change the name of it, sort of thing. Though if you're an orc, you should be able to be like, this is Crushed Town.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, surely it's in the lure for them to get rid of all those stupid, dirty, Humy names and give them their crazy spelling's better. So damn it, Games Workshop.
But I guess
be consistent.
Maybe the orcs just become refined, and they're like, oh yes, we are now the regents of Altdorf, and our orc empire is now just here for Sigmar.
They conquer all these places that are full of universities and learning, and they could get a bit curious, and they start reading the books, and get really into philosophy. Like, you know what? We're going to study mathematics instead of war. We can make so much more progress if we just work together.
You get a nice Ice Orc Newton.
That'd be amazing, yeah. And you can try and get the good ending as the orcs. The humans all submitted to the orcs willingly because they were so nice.
Yeah, they actually turned out better than the Empire. Chaos gets defeated because they just couldn't beat that just nicety.
Exactly. It's like the opposite of chaos. So chaos is just the ultimate evil. We have the ultimate nice, which comes in, and they're just so beautiful. It bedazzles the Chaos Warriors, and they can't bring themselves to raise their swords.
Yeah. They just drop everything at their feet, just walk home, never come back. Like, it's just all for naught. There's no point. You can't ruin such a good thing.
Right, so we'll make that game.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll release that and see how it does against the original vision.
I think that we'll have a strong fan base on Reddit. I think that they'll like it.
And that's a start.
All right. So are you planning on getting it at launch? I know Coffin isn't, but you, Devin?
Well, probably yes. Not because I actually want to play it in an interesting twist. It's sort of like yes and no, really. You're
kind of blackmailed.
It's not something I would buy. Like, if it was just me, I probably wouldn't bother playing. And the same thing for Attila. I've played Attila for 200 hours, and none of them were sitting down to play it for my own personal amusement. It was always business playing of it, playing it because people are voting that you have to play Attila on your channel. And Mr. Smudon, you want to do co-ops on it, and it's probably going to end up being the same thing here, where I just have to have it around launch because people are going to hound me, say, "God damn it, play this game because it exists." And that's probably going to be fun. It seems like it's a good game, so hopefully I'll be able to get into it a little bit more than I did into sort of Attila, which I couldn't get much fun out of playing or single player.
That's fair.
Lots of variety, lots of shiny stuff at the very least. I can make use of the fact I've bought a very expensive computer to turn the graphics up and go, oh, look, isn't it shiny? Right, now let's zoom back out because it's easier to play at the maximum zoom. There we go.
Turn on the unit highlights on the tactical map.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be on that tactical map 24/7.
So, are you just going to go in blind, or are you going to try just cramming in 20 hours of the game on a launch day to then get a practiced version of a Let's Play out?
Well, I don't know. I don't really intend to make videos sort of right off the cuff. I'm not going to go in for that angle. I think as a YouTuber, as someone just trying to get views, that is a good idea to just put videos out during its release window, even if those videos aren't very good, because you get views on them. You get search hits will come in, but the only problem is it's prioritizing the channels that are bigger doing it. So if you're a Lionheart, if you're Legend of Total War, if you're Warrior Sparta, if you have no choice other than to do that, you have to do it. And in fact, they've released it before it even comes out in order to make sure that works. Because
Devin, but you're the type of YouTuber. But you're the type of YouTuber that the fans like what you do, not for the game, but for the story.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm not sort of going to just release videos because I can. So for me, it's going to be a case of definitely not doing it blind. I'll probably play the entire campaign that I plan to do before to test it out, and then do it again and record it, and then do all the post commentary and shizzle. And so basically it might end up being that I'll make a let's play of this game next year, like once I've modded it up and found something I think is interesting and unique that you could do in the game that'll make a sort of worthwhile plot thread to run through the campaign. So yeah, for me, I don't know. I don't really like the idea of playing it blind, but I totally recognize the value of doing it. I think the videos that are created as a result are inferior in quality, but it's worth doing it.
Personally, I'm going to play it just because I can to get a release day.
Well, that's another reason to play it, because you want to play it. That's a pretty good
that's the
reason.
thing. Like, I am excited. I have a long history with Warhammer, and I am really excited for this game. Also, because I haven't really played Attila, like, the game itself is probably a lot newer to me than it will be for you.
A lot of the detailed fundamentals will seem more modern, because they're not going to come and go,
this UI is complete shit.
This is the design of Attila that I nitpicked. They reused it. No.
Yeah. The best part
It's probably
is
the other way
that
around,
they're
actually.
supporting this game with at least 2 expansions, so like in at least 2 years from now, we'll still be using the Attila UI on the Attila engine, and it's going to be so outdated by then.
It is a bit disappointing. I think I was saying earlier, I was recording a Let's Play in the Age of Petty Kings hot seat that Wise Coffin's hosting, and I was noting that the modern Total War games are leagues behind the industry in terms of animation context and how the animations work. The animations still look silly when you zoom in. They don't make contextual sense. So if you zoom in too far, it's something you notice if you watch Machinimas, the film in Total War. They use a very specific technique, and almost all of them will do this, where they'll only ever show really short cuts of very zoomed in action, where you can only see 1 or 2 people. Because in actual gameplay, when you zoom out a little bit, you realize that those 2 people, what they're doing doesn't make any sense in the situation that they're in. And now everyone else is gawping at them and just sort of standing there in their 1 of 2 possible animations, idle and idle with your shield up. Like there isn't a sort of I'm at the front animation. Yeah, in sort of Rome. Oh. Well, it started in Empire, but it continues on after that, the same system of how they do the animations.
Yeah, I have a big
rant.
Yeah, I really do not like the Warscape engine, but
yeah. So the Dawn of War games are really good at that. They have a lot of kind of like context, like unit on unit animations to make sure that stuff actually kind of looks good.
And stuff's always happening, and that's sort of part of the key. A lot of the time when units are in contact, they're rotating on the spot on the front line, or sort of tapping each other's shields, doing sort of
like
nothing animations.
To each other and,
So we're sort of, if you're on the front, you would never be standing still. Like seeing any of those men be in their sort of steady idle animation seems like a mistake. Like, shouldn't they always be playing an animation? Because the enemy's 2 feet away from them. They should be moving backwards and forwards and dodging or hiding behind their shield constantly or something. Something should be happening to represent that.
I'd say that's probably just a technical thing.
What I would
love to... I wonder, because like surely they have these animations. Is it too hard to just play them more regularly,
if you
or have them be shorter and just play a lot?
1,000 people doing a cower behind shield animation, what is that going to do to most computers?
But I don't know, because right now it's 1,000 people doing the sort of just standing there with their shield raised, and they're sort of like
it makes sense,
swaying side to side. I was like, couldn't it just say, instead of saying play that animation starting at this frame, say play this other animation starting at this frame? Based on how close they are to the nearest fighting person, or just say that the front 3 ranks in any unit are always doing that animation just to make it easier to process, where they're sort of actually bunched together or sort of pushing forward against the men in front of them, or moving back as the enemy are advancing towards them, or something.
Do they mocap these games? Or are they just kind of animated?
They are, but I think in Total Warhammer, they've taken a slightly different angle on it. So from Shogun 2, I guess from Empire probably, they mocapped it. There's all one-on-one mocaps, which is why it does the rubber banding thing, because it has to have 2 people in animation frame, because it doesn't work otherwise, which was the change from Medieval 2, where it was occasionally like that, but usually the animations were just more basic. But I think in Warhammer, they've gone back to the basic style. So they'll have those kill moves where two units can get locked into an animation that is then uninterruptible, which was sort of the problem. But a lot of the time, they're just they're hitting forwards at the direction of the enemy and damaging enemy units rather than targeting a specific person. And I haven't really looked at how that works out, but I'm hoping that will look a lot better, because it won't get you the situation where the fact that you're targeting one person in front of you means you're ignoring the person next to them who's just staring awkwardly at you and waiting for you to finish your animation.
It's funny that you bring up the the getting stuck in animation thing, because I know that the legendary lords and your heroes, the ones that are the most important, most baddest things in your armies, they actually have fewer kill animations, and they spend less time doing that because they don't want you to get stun locked pretty much in animation and have your hero die while they're in animations.
I see.
So your heroes
Yes,
actually
they
do
still
less
take
flashy
damage.
stuff than your army does.
They just don't care
Interestingly
about the
enough.
common troops.
But Wise Coffin wanted to say something like 3 minutes ago. Do you still have that?
I'm not remembering.
All right, sorry about that.
Don't remember. I was trying to talk, but then the idea just flew by.
Nah, don't worry about it. Unless it was like really critical, in which case I guess lose sleep over it. I don't know.
Put a note. It's in the show notes.
All right, so I guess I won't be seeing you guys playing it soon.
No.
Which is probably all right.
might
With all
play
due
it a
respect, I don't really watch your videos. I don't really have the time to watch anybody else.
So any Total War YouTuber, they don't watch any of the others or their own videos.
It's just like, why would
That's
I?
simply
Like,
how it
I have
works.
my own. Yeah.
It takes too much time to
It's
do the
unfortunate
things.
because I used to watch a bunch of Total War YouTubers, and now I kind of feel bad because I like them, but it's just like, eh.
No, I stopped to watch the majority of the YouTubers that I watch because they became boring, predictable, generic on their content. So, nah.
Yeah, watch more,
I don't
like,
know, but
critics now.
I think officially Devin spoiled me with narratives, and now
Clearly.
I just like to see narratives now because they're so interesting.
Yeah, no, they are interesting. It was really fun voicing for you.
Indeed.
I did watch a little bit of, I think it was Alex the Rambler's stream. He was streaming with Warrior of Sparta and Lionheart yesterday. I thought, let's have a look at this game. And they seemed I thought they would be more impressed with it than they were. Maybe because they've already played it loads or something, so it didn't seem as interesting to them. But they also were like, yeah, it's okay. It's not the best Total War game. Warrior of Sparta seemed very angry at it. Because they were
What
playing
game?
playing Warhammer. So they were playing it
playing
last night, and one thing Warrior Sparta was ranting about was the siege battles where because you're in a little area of the city this time, the background, so you can see the rest of the city is off outside the bounds of where you can play, and that part of the city is much more detailed and has lots of interesting buildings. And then the bit you're in is just generic city streets. So it looks like the more interesting part of the city is the bit you can't go in. So all the castle keeps and things and weird little alleys and choke points are all off outside the map. And I guess it's just because they wanted a nice, easy time for the AI and the pathfinding. So the bit you go in
I was
is
gonna
just
say that.
a few straight roads and a square in the middle.
They probably wanted to put all the fancy stuff in, but we don't know how to incorporate a city layout for all these weird ass factions.
Yeah, that's it. And
Just be
it's just that
grateful.
it taunts you because it's there in the background. You can see this huge and interesting keep overlooking the victory point, but you can't put your men in the keep or anything like that. So it's like, it's just there. Please. I want to put my archers on this wall, but no.
Yeah, but it seems that they made unique battlefields. I think Total War made some videos about special battlefields.
Yeah.
I think they have actually unique battlefields on the
That's
map, so
interesting.
that's cool.
So imagine there is a giant kind of skull on the campaign map, and that skull is infused with magical energies. If you fight near that, there's actually a very specific battle you have there, as if, say, you fought at a special, a castle or something, but you're both fighting in a field, and it gives special bonuses to, magic.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
There might be a river of lava, going through it or something like that. That's special to that spot or something.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
also
That's what I
when
was hoping for.
there's and also when there's some type of monument like monolith, a golden monolith, if you fight there, you can actually see the golden monolith on the battle map. So that's cool.
That's
Yeah,
excellent
technically,
news.
that's actually no different than any other Total War game. That your maps are dependent on the coordinate of where you're fighting on the campaign map. It's the same thing, except they're just putting something on the campaign
It's just the
map.
design. Because I mean,
Yeah.
in Rome 2 and
They're
Attila, the
simply just
design
putting
was
things
nothing.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, and let people be grateful on actually having cities. It could be like Empire. Ugh. That
Did
is just
Empire
like
not have
forts.
cities?
No,
Yes,
it's
yeah, you had a
only
little fort to represent it.
God.
Oh, so it's not even like like you didn't fight in cities back then. They
No,
simply
no.
just had a shitty replacement.
I don't even know how did they do that in Empire. That's such an insult to the fans, like not having cities on you where you're supposed to have cities. Just like they put a little fort on the battle.
But it could be in the settlements that didn't have a fort. It gave you a basic siege battle where you had to assault a town, but there was just sort of not much to it. So the town would only have 20, 30 buildings in it, and it'd just be a little like a
Kind of a-
hamlet.
Kind of insulting, but it's one of my favorite games.
It's very good for
I-
the theme. It's sort of the
I like
best
the
game
time
in its
period.
era.
No, it's not because of the city, but I love the time period and the theaters of war. I really like that idea. And some of the mechanics on the game. For example, I think a Empire is the only Total War game that does technologies well. Like it really
Yeah, it has
fits,
a really interesting system.
it really fits the theme. They're true technologies because at that time period they were actually researching those technologies, not like in Shogun, that it's just made up philosophies. Like there is Bushido, of course, but the things that you can do in the tech tree, it's not what they actually did.
Yeah, it's a bit
But-
arbitrary, just that there's something
Yeah.
there.
It just kind
I don't
of
know.
a
I think
progression
CA just enjoyed so much the tech tree that they said, "Let us put it in all games now." I think only Empire really is good with
I
that.
mean, I guess they gotta compete with like Civilization and a bunch of other things to kind of do that. That's kind of like a standard for 4X
Yeah,
games now.
it's kind of a trope. Like
Yeah.
if there's a technology system, have a tech tree. It's just the
For
way that people
example-
understand it.
But
Yeah.
what's interesting is that or with Empire, I guess Napoleon would be similar, but we probably knew a lot more about what kind of science was going on.
Yeah, yeah,
then.
yeah.
We have much
That's
better
right.
records of it,
That's true.
so it
But
make it easier.
that's why I think, like on Rome 2 and Shogun. No, I think Shogun actually the technology it's decent. I like, but Rome 2 it has no need to exist really. I think they could just do like previously, where you could do the buildings and the buildings allowed you to have those things. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been superior because there wasn't actually any significant technological development. You don't really
Yeah.
need a technology system in the game. You want, I don't know, maybe a
buildings-
government policy system that gives you the same sets of bonuses.
The buildings themselves already show you the new technologies, like making bridges, making buildings. Those are already the new technologies. You don't need to have a little thing that separates the technology from buildings. But of course, they like limit the building making now on the new games. So
Yeah, it was just there because it was a feature. I think it wasn't thematic or anything like that. It's like, the old Total War games had tech trees. Let's have a tech tree here. I think that's probably the end of the sort of should there be a tech tree discussion.
yeah.
And then you get into like Warhammer with their tech trees.
Oh, but that makes sense, I think.
I don't know, like the dwarfs very specifically, like they're not progressive. Like they're stuck in their
Really?
technology. Yeah, that
Aren't they very sophisticated with
no,
technology?
they're very technologically advanced,
Yeah.
But
but
they're not advancing further.
they're not
than
advancing. That they, as like a culture, need like hundreds of years for a new technology to be considered safe. That
I always
Like-
had the different idea from them.
the Empire are the ones who make like the crazy Hellblaster volley guns and the steam tanks. But like, yeah, like technology's awesome. We should make new shit and kill ourselves on it half the time because it's so unstable. While the dwarfs, like they have their cannon, they have their rifle. They do have gyrocopter, but pretty much like
Yeah. And fire
they,
throwers and whatever.
they don't progress in a
Yeah,
time
understand.
that they would probably take the place in the campaign.
It's the stereotypical Tolkien dwarf, like
That
stubborn,
they're stuck in their ways,
like the old ways.
old-fashioned, yeah,
We don't need stupid humans to tell us what to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much. There's actually a whole bunch of quotes. In fact, you've probably read a couple of them in Call of Warhammer that are like, never trust a man coin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Never trust an elf.
yeah, never trust in anything. Never trust a dwarf.
Don't trust any other humanoid creatures. General rule.
Only trust half the dwarfs. Like,
So yeah, I guess perhaps maybe it'd be more interesting if instead of a tech tree, because they're not supposed to be advancing in tech, they would have something like an escalation level where they get better equipment because they have militarized their society a bit more because they're at war. So now new equipment is coming out of the forges just because there's a demand for it, and that's why you have a heavier infantry unit starting to appear, not because you discovered that armor or something. You just researched the ability to build it. Like you always had it. You were just building up to it.
Yeah, but honestly, this is kind of a silly fantasy game. I really think it makes sense to have like structured tables and technology rates on this kind of fantasy type game. I think it makes it very gamey, like it's not trying to be historical. It's trying to be really a fantasy kind of battle game.
It'll be a fun mechanic. I definitely like. It's gonna obviously set the pace for the game, so you don't
And
get
also,
overwhelmed. Like, oh,
I also liked that in order for you to progress with your character traits and technologies, you need to upgrade a character like in battles.
Yeah.
Like he needs to reach a certain level to increase his technology. That's cool.
yeah, it definitely has a better, more fun focus on heroes.
Yeah. It is about the fun. It's about a meta game where you feel like you're progressing in something. It doesn't necessarily matter what it is, and technology is what they've chosen to sort of name this system as. So it's just, I'm getting better at something, so I want to hit end turn so that I'll get the next tech. Like it's just an incentive.
And is the technologies for characters alone, or is for the faction also? Because
I think it is for the faction.
It's for the faction.
Because it seems that is for the general. Like general increases melee.
I think the general just has a massive skill tree,
Yeah,
which
have...
it sort of looks like the technology tree.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, because I was seeing Lion Art like first episode, and it seemed very similar.
I think they just have the two menus look the same, but one of them's for character skills, one's for tech stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that the dwarves very specifically have like a civic tree, and they have a like a military tree. And those are like two separate trees on their tech tree, but then like the heroes, I'm pretty sure, have like different things about like what they do.
Oh, and also the
branching.
dwarves. Sorry, but the dwarves actually have something really cool that could be used on narratives. That is the Book of Grudges. That is a cool thing.
Yeah, I actually have no idea how that works in game.
I have no idea either, but they say like if someone makes an offense with you, you can actually clean it, like make a quest to clean your honor or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, so like I don't like if you could make your own quests, then what's the reward? I guess, but like I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely interesting. That's definitely going to be kind of like what makes the dwarf playthrough different than the Empire playthrough.
That sounds cool.
But it'll probably be more dynamic as to
Yeah.
the worse you lose.
I just hope that they increase like while the game is being developed. I hope that they make more units and more legendary lords because I think this game should
Well, they
have
definitely
a
are.
lot of them.
Here, I'll bring up the
I really
the
think
chart.
that this game should have a ridiculous amount of unique heroes because this is supposed to be like character-based game, and just having like 2 characters for each faction, I think it's kind of boring.
I wonder if perhaps modding
here
will
I'm
allow
sending you
that
guys a
to be
link
added.
in the call.
Let's have a
And
look,
that
see.
is their DLC plan. So the order of their free content plan, so this is stuff that they won't charge you for, is going to be a new unit, a new hero, a new lore of magic, a new legendary lord, another new hero, another new lore of magic, another new legendary lord, a new playable race, another new lore of magic, and a new hero. So 2 factions are getting a new legendary lord, 3 factions are getting a new hero.
And that's only in the free stuff.
And that's just the free
I think they're
stuff.
making paid ones as well.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure who's getting the shaft, as far as who's not getting a new legendary lord.
They might not have even decided yet. They might sort of be waiting to see how the game balance turns out and then
Yeah, that's
decide,
entirely
let's just
fair-
throw one into
possible,
the
actually,
orcs.
I think Empire's probably getting it. that I don't know. Like they're just kind of like the poster children for the game, so they'll probably get something.
Yeah, they're the main characters of Total War.
Yeah.
The Warhammer, that is, if you will.
Yeah. So so we will be getting new legendary lords, which will have new quests and new things to do. Weirdly enough, only one new unit. So I'm very curious, like, what is that one unit that they couldn't put in the game?
That's strange, yeah.
Because it's the
one
first
unit.
thing they're going to release, assuming that these are in order.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be in order, so that is a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Like, one new unit, like normally they release like 10 at a time and they're all just normal, so it must be one special magic thing. It's got a picture of a dragon on the thing, which suggests it might be a dragon of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know. Playable race would probably be Bretonia. I
Yeah.
assume
Yeah.
that since we know Bretonia is coming out, that is simply that and not another one.
And probably Kislev in the future.
Yeah, and then there's going to be other DLC where there are Lord packs.
I really hope
Yeah.
that they do like Chaos Dwarfs, because I do not know almost anything about Warhammer, but I think the Chaos Dwarfs are just adorable.
I doubt the Chaos Dwarfs are going to happen.
They're so goddamn adorable with their like
Um,
tusks, like
Yeah,
like
no,
ox.
they're really
Oh.
cool, but the Chaos
awesome.
Dwarfs don't actually have an army.
Oh,
The Chaos Dwarfs and Kislev, you know, the two you brought up, are simply exist in lore, but they don't actually have rules anymore.
So they're not part of the original game.
Yeah, they're
basically.
not really
So-
kind of like standard factions. So they'd be really cool. It'd be all
well
like,
then I
I'm
guess
proud of them for putting Kislev and the Border Princes in the game as AI factions. I'm surprised they did that, because that means I have to make stuff for them up. But they'll probably just copy Call of Warhammer. But I don't think that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a generic job. Human factions, give them middling stats and generic quality infantry. There you go, human
yeah,
faction.
but Call of Warhammer I think does a very good job in putting the factions very unique.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely do. I mean, Bear Cavalry is awesome.
Can't go too far wrong.
That's probably what I'm gonna use to make a Chaos Dwarf narrative, probably. Call of Warhammer, the new version, 1.6.
Yeah. I can't. The new fire. No, that's Dwarf unit, but they're a new kind of like gun infantry, heavy infantry fighting unit. Looks awesome.
I think they have 3 new units. One that is called Infernal Guard. One
Yes.
that is like one dude with this thing like of fire. I think he can like shoot fire or whatever. And then they have like a mage, Chaos Dwarf mage. So really cool.
Anyway, back to Total War Warhammer though.
Yeah, indeed.
So so with
what?
the DLC, they're gonna have a Lord pack, which comes with 2 legendary lords, 2 new heroes, and a new unique unit, and then a beefed up version of another unit. That's for every Lord pack. We'll have that. There's gonna be a race pack, which adds a new playable race to the grand campaign and multiplayer, a new legendary lord, new lords, heroes, obviously. So just a new race and everything that comes with that. And then a new
Honestly-
campaign pack, which are what they refer to as a supercharged version of the race pack. Campaign packs not only contain a new race
a
for the
weird way
grand
of saying it.
campaign, but also a new challenge campaign in the game. Themed on an epic event of the Warhammer lore, those self-contained campaigns will present a distinct challenge scenario. I still actually don't know what that means. That just kind of sounds like they have more missions or something.
It sounds like what they did with Napoleon Total War, where in that game you had the main campaign, and then there were 3 or 4 sort of separate campaigns you could get, where say it was Napoleon's Egyptian campaign, where it takes a focused sort of blown up version of the map, so in more detail but a smaller geographical area, and it's sort of a scenario. So saying you are Napoleon, you've just invaded Egypt, you either play as Napoleon or you play as the British Expeditionary Force sent to stop him, and there's sort of a specific goal, so sort of like a non-sandbox campaign. So maybe that's what they're thinking
It
with these
looks
challenge
like it's almost like a
campaigns.
challenge mode. That they say that they are for veteran and experienced players.
Yeah, just say that, it'll be
there's-
hard.
It's escalating difficulty, that they kind of just keep piling things on you. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not really sure what that means, but
It sounds good.
I can't wait
Sounds like it
for
might be
them
good.
to be like, oh hey guys, here's Skaven, here's $15, like pay me that much.
I think that's pretty much what it amounts to.
Yeah,
It's you
because-
can pay and you get the rest of the game. So people who Want
Like
all
with
that stuff?
Attila,
You'll get it eventually.
like it's like 750 or something like that for 3 identical factions.
Yeah, I think
And,
Attila's worse value since each
and
faction is not very different from the existing factions.
and they all have the same skeleton and the same animations.
Yeah.
And there's very little difference from anything else in the game. So
At least here, it feels a bit more worthwhile that if they're going to come and say, yeah, it's going to be $15, $20 to play as the elves, you might think, well, I guess if like this is a lot more different, like some actual work would have gone into this, it's a unique piece of
they're gonna
content,
have
maybe
new
it's not
story
worth it.
content too, new missions.
Yeah, like it's all sorts of writing and design that must have gone into it, so it's not going to be they copy-pasted some lines in the database and gave the units a new name, and that's a new product.
See, I'm not worried that's going to be expensive as much as I feel like since the Attila DLC was so overpriced, I'm worried that they're going to be like, well, it has to be more expensive than that. And
Oh, yeah,
like charge
definitely.
more because otherwise they kind of admit to themselves like, oh yeah, by the way, these were overpriced, but these are properly priced now. Like,
Yeah, they have to charge more to make up for past
don't
charging.
forget that they plan on 2 expansions for the game, so you can get the DLC and then the expansions and then the expansion DLC.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be hundreds.
Yeah,
To get the full campaign where it's the full map as originally designed with all the factions, it's going to cost hundreds.
It's going
But
to be a cash
hopefully
cow.
it will be a case where it's so interesting. I don't know if this will turn out to be the case, but it's so interesting to have all these different kinds of factions and there's so many different balances and so many different things you can do once you have the full campaign map. You're not sort of very restricted in way that you can go as you seem to be now. So maybe it will be worth it. Just probably best not to pay full price.
Yeah.
Buy
Like I
the
said-
75% off pack at the end.
Yeah, like I said, wait until everything is done and buy it like in a end of a year sale or whatever.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
probably
It'll
the safe
definitely
way.
be on sale come Christmas.
Yeah, but still, I think I will wait for the game to be like fully done.
It's just an individual question as to whether you think it's worth it, basically. I feel like for people who really like Warhammer, this game is worth more. Like, to me, I hesitate for buying it at its release price because I'm fundamentally not interested in the theme. Like, I'm interested in
Yeah.
strategy games, so I'd be
Me
well prepared
too.
to play it for that. But because the theme is sort of off, I'm like, yeah, I'll buy it half price because I think
Yeah.
I'm less likely to be interested in it than if they release Rome 3. So I'm like, well,
And see,
but
I'm
to
the
other
opposite
people,
here.
Warhammer,
This is the first
yes.
time I'm buying a Total War game at release.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that and I got it for like 20% off, so it's not bad. Save like $15.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going to be worth it because it's going to be visualizing things you already know.
Yeah,
You're going to be living
I'll
the dream.
familiar. I'll
So
kind of-
hopefully it'll be
I'll
really
be able to
fun.
understand, like, oh yeah, these Ironbreakers, like that's their job. These Slayers, that's their job. Yeah. So I guess, do you guys have any last comments about the game before we wrap up?
It's the worst game of all time.
Yes.
8 out of 10.
Worst game of all time. Officially, Devin. I'm putting that in my review.
That's my
I'll quote
review.
you on
They
that.
can put that on the box if they want.
How about you, Coffin?
I think it's going to be decent when everything is done.
And I think the fact that modding is being opened up is going to make it a much better value proposition.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
we're getting to a point when we can start dreaming of maybe this game is going to be the new Lord of the Rings Total War in the future once someone gets their dirty hands on all the modding tools.
I don't know because the other Total War games say that, but they really don't let you work too much on the game. You
Yeah,
only
it's-
are yeah, because
basically
they say
they're not
you
allowed.
can. Yeah, they say you can mod, but they don't say what you can mod. So you probably are only going to be able to touch a little
Well,
things.
they are releasing the modding tools pretty early, though, which is nice. They're doing them right off the bat, which
They're even
means
sort of
that
sponsoring
gives
the mods.
more people more time to figure out how to make this Lord of the Rings mod.
Which is what everyone really wants.
Like,
I
give
don't-
it like 5 years, and this
Yeah.
a new generation of YouTubers are gonna be like, wow, playing all these mods on a Total War Warhammer. I know it's such an old game, but people like the niche stuff.
That's true. That's true.
That's how I
Hopefully.
started.
Who knows?
All right.
I think it's a case where, because I went to visit them for the mod awards, and they were saying the basic reason why they don't allow modding too much is because a lot of the tools you need to edit the game are owned by other companies, and they're just not allowed to give them out or make similar versions for public distribution for free. So it's sort of like they're contractually obliged to only use these tools themselves.
That actually makes a
so
lot
they
of
can't
sense.
let the modders touch them, and that's where things like editing the map and doing a lot of the more detailed things are done using these special programs.
I never even thought about it like that, but that
And
makes a lot of
it's
sense.
probably always going to be like that unless they take the time to make their own versions of those programs, which probably they won't, because they probably just take so much time that it's not worth the monetary gain of extra sales through mods being better. So
And
I
also
don't.
making mods like cuts the possibility of you making more games.
Yeah,
Like
it might
sometimes,
be a bit like that, yeah.
I mean,
It's
you know,
stealing
you guys have
ideas.
clearly bought in every game since Medieval 2, so Medieval's 2 modability didn't prevent you from buying any of the other games.
Yes, I guess there isn't a Medieval 2 mod, which is Napoleon Total War. Like, there's still plenty of scope for professionally made content and sort of actual new hard-coded mechanics that just can't be done in old game engines.
And then you get the Crusader Kings 2 kind of paradox, which is made by Paradox, actually, funnily enough. Anyway,
Oh my
that
god.
you start making a bunch of DLC, which means that mods start using DLCs in order
yes.
to work, which then means that you need to buy DLC to play mods.
Civilization does that as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
half the mods require you to have the expansion packs, so it works in their favor. And you can tell in Civ it really heavily supports mods. Like on the main menu is the way of getting mods into the game. Like
Yeah.
get some mods, because it basically forces you to buy all the DLC and expansions if you want the actual good and interesting sounding mods.
Yeah, I don't think I've made a Civ mod that actually like doesn't need expansions for it. But they all do something.
It's a pretty sneaky tactic, but
Yeah,
that's handy. I guess for people who do have all those DLCs, then
And it
it's
makes sense though,
really good
because
content.
I mean, you know, you're making a mod, like you want to have the most features possible, you know, and like with Civilization, you make a mod for the last expansion, or you can make a mod for the game that's 2 years older. Like, why would you? It's like with Medieval 2 and Kingdoms. There's not a single mod that doesn't use Kingdoms anymore.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Just simply like more to do. Crusader Kings
Yeah.
2 is just terrible because I'm pretty sure there's like $175 worth of
And that's
DLC,
the
and
last
I
line
just
of it.
refuse to buy any of it.
Yeah, the money to get the full Crusader Kings experience
They're still
is through the
putting stuff
roof.
out. That game
It's
is like
insane.
5 years old.
It's an interesting case because it's a thing where they're sort of proving the point that if a game is fundamentally very popular and good, you can milk it a lot. So it's not a case of you want to rush out the game so that you can make more games, which is potentially what Total War's focus is. They don't change the base mechanics at all, or sort of, or they'll focus on them in the design. They just change the theme and release the rethemed game. But it might be a case that if you make one really powerful base game, you can just expand the base game for the next 10 years and still
Obviously,
make
it
infinite money
works.
off it.
It works for them clearly, but like I can't buy any of their games because like I know that if I buy the game, I'm not getting the complete experience.
Yeah,
And I know
that
that
is
to get the
the
complete
massive
experience,
downside.
I have to
They have-
shell
they-
out so much cash that I just like I can't like I don't want to even start that slope, which is unfortunate because I want to buy their games, but I can't afford to buy their games because there's a huge cost after that.
It's almost like going down the mobile route where they're relying on the super fans who
Yeah,
are
yeah.
prepared to spend loads to fund these projects. We're just saying, oh, you want the music in the game? 10 quid.
I'm pretty sure
You wanna
the
have this random
average
unit,
Clash
20
of
quid.
Clans player spends $550 a year in that game.
Mr.
Not bad.
Smart Donkey has just played Total War Warhammer right now.
He just started.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
Well, I
just
think
got
we're
videos
devolving
out
a little
already.
bit, so I guess I'm gonna start calling it here. So,
Okay.
do you guys have any shout-outs you want to make? Self-promote your channels, Twitters, anything like that?
My channel's the best, so you should all watch it.
What's
There
your
you go.
channel called?
It's called OfficiallyDevin.
And the Wise
best
Coffin.
channel.
Yeah, me too. Mine too.
All right. So check out the Wise Coffin. Check out OfficiallyDevin. If you like the podcast, please like, favorite, or subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm Drazule, where this will be posted first, but not necessarily exclusively. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll hopefully see you guys in the next podcast.
Oh, there's going to be another?
I'll be there. Sure.